I'm going to first start off by showing you and telling you about dynamic pricing. So I've mentioned that dynamic pricing takes out the tedious guesswork, uncertainty, and stress caused by what I would say is called static pricing, where your pricing is set. And it's the ability to meet demand. It means that your prices are automatically increasing or decreasing based on historical and real-time data, and is usually done on a daily basis. Now, the problem with static pricing is that it either leaves a lot of money on the table or vacancies remain very, very high. So what happens is that dynamic pricing is really pricing that reacts to real-time demand and supply. That way, make sure that you're maximizing your revenue and your occupancy. Now, I'm not sure if everybody was aware, or if you maybe recently listened to a Yapstone podcast episode that actually featured our business development manager, Chris Baxter, where he discussed dynamic pricing. So I just wanted to quickly share a short snippet thereof, because in it, he actually demonstrates the common owner, I'll call it misperspective, and how he effectively addresses their concerns.
For those who don't understand what dynamic pricing is, can you just help us understand it in really simple terms?
Yeah, essentially, dynamic pricing is using supply and demand data to adjust your pricing in order to get you the best possible rate for any given holiday date. It's a tool that is designed to maximize the revenue opportunity that you have.
There's been a lot of debate around dynamic pricing recently. So how do you respond to the critics of it who would say it could diminish trust with a potential guest, and it's confusing because you look at the prices one week and then they're different the next week? I'm kind of on the fence with this one. But in my mind, I can completely accept when I look at a business that does have seasonality and where they have like a PDF or a web page where they state their pricing and it's clearly different for each season. But with dynamic pricing, it changes a lot more. How do you respond to that?
How frequently it changes will depend on the supply and demand within the area, which is, of course, what it's designed to do. But what I would say about dynamic pricing is it's one element of an overall revenue management strategy. It is not in itself the revenue management strategy. But dynamic pricing in terms of short-term rentals and self-catering, self-caterers are in control of the dynamic pricing. It's making adjustments, but it's doing so within their parameters. Right. So self-caterers are setting the rules, and the software can only work within the rules that they set. In my opinion, anyone who's ever tweaked a price or applied a late availability discount or done anything to do with their prices in some way, however indirectly responding, they're doing that because of supply and demand. So it's what dynamic pricing tools are doing is automating that process. From the self-caterer's perspective, yes, it's about revenue, but it's also about the time that's saved in setting prices for the next 12 months. And I'm sure many self-caterers listening will have the absolute fear of trying to figure out what day of the week is Christmas and how do I work all of that out. Dynamic pricing can take a lot of that pain away for the self-caterer. And I think in lots of walks of life, consumers are used to dynamic pricing. I'd be interested to know how you feel about checking the price of a flight one day and then it being different the next day, and if it's the same kind of the same kind of response. Incredibly beneficial for self-caterers. It helps to improve the profit margins. It helps to save time. And let's remember, sometimes dynamic pricing will reduce a price because of lower demand or year-over-year demand, etc. But as I say, it's part of an overall strategy. It can be used in conjunction with things like configuring short break settings, lengths of stay rules, arrival day rules, inbuilt functionality and super control for things like late availability discounting or low occupancy discounting. This is a combined strategy of which dynamic pricing is a component.